Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show today. We are joined again by the beautiful Rebecca Grotte. She is the owner of her own company called Avondale, and it's Avondale Design Studio based out of Houston, Texas. And as an interior designer, she's working in homes, commercial spaces as well to help you construct, to draw, to plan, to furnish, to light, to paint, you name it. She does it. Welcome to the show today. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Oh,
Thank
good.
you.
Pleasure to have you here. Would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and company? We have new listeners each and every week, so it may be redundant to us, but I'm excited to find out more.
Okay. My name is Rebecca Grotte. I'm the owner of Avondale Design Studio based out of Houston, Texas. And I'm just I'm a residential interior designer, and I do all facets of design. So today, I guess we're going to talk about wallpaper. So
Ah,
that's
perfect. That's fine. First, remind us how we can reach out to you so people can check out your website and work if you don't mind.
okay. My website is www.avondaledesignstudio.com. And then I have an Instagram page at Avondale Design Studio, and also a Facebook page at Avondale Design Studio.
Perfect. And guess what? It looks like you sent over photos of wallpapers. Now I know the topic of conversation. Okay, let's get started. Um, First of all, how do you choose it? What's the trend? Are people painting? People doing wallpaper? What are we putting on our walls these days? And tell us more about the process of putting wallpaper up. And of course, I remember when I was little, we had it everywhere, and then we didn't. And now I feel like
Right.
it's coming back.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think that there's wallpaper and wall coverings. It, it's a big category, but so there's wallpaper has been here for a long time. So that's why it comes in and out of trends and stuff like that. But it's always sort of been here since the 1500s. So it's what I love about wallpaper and any sort of wall painting or decorating murals. There's all different sorts of things to do on the wall. But what I love about it is that it's not just about um, a decoration. It also, the history of wallpaper is also about, um, tells a story about printmaking and how the printmaking process over time has developed, and have a whole bunch of different styles. So a lot of the major houses that create these wall coverings, they've got archives of of things that were made hundreds of years ago, and then they will recolor them to make them more relevant to today's audience. So they are looking at trends, they look at colors, they look at what maybe they look into fashion to see maybe what colors are on the horizon. They'll go back into their archives and then they'll recolor them. And so some of the biggest, manufacturer of wallpaper, they do it really well because they have an archive of documents of history of what that this this one was done 200 years ago. Let's recolor it and make it like with colors that are more neon or um so that's what I think that's why I love wall covering so much, is because it's not just about about the the beautiful colors themselves, but it tells a story of a past, of a time in the past. And so
Mhm.
um, and that's something that I really just love about it, because we're all we the history of where things come from is really fascinating to me. And whenever I was in design school, we had to study architectural history, and all of these things were born a long time ago. So they just have better ways of doing it, or they have more efficient ways, or they're printing on um, materials that are maybe they're more user friendly. Say they're on vinyl so that you can put it in your bathroom and it doesn't peel off your wall. Um, so there's a lot to wall covering, but that's I use a lot of wall covering in my designs. So
Got it. And by the way, I've been looking through, you sent a whole bunch of photos over and how ornate it just warms up the room. I mean, all these different designs. I'm impressed. I mean, things you never think that would look good. There's one with like fish, and I'm like, whoa, that looks good. This is, I mean, it really can bring so much to the room. I've seen so many of your photos. How do you help people choose what they like?
well, that's again just like we talked about last week about kind of it's that they're hiring me to go and create a design. So I have to start off with a plethora of different. What I do is I'll go to my resources and just start pulling organically like what I think that that person needs for that room. So maybe I'm going off of maybe they have an antique rug in their room that they don't that they love and they're not going to get rid of that. And so that is a huge uh, color palette,
Eh, Speaking
so
of,
to speak,
you're
for
you're
that room.
you're breaking up a
That's not
little. Hold
that's
on.
going to stay there.
Hold on, Rebecca, you are frozen right
So
now and you're cutting in and out. I'm not sure if you can hear me. Yeah, you are frozen right now. I heard color palette and then you
okay,
went robotic. There you go. I see you now.
okay, okay. Let me check my.
There you go.
Okay, my internet maybe not. Maybe get slowed down a little bit. Okay, can you see me?
Better now. Yep, you're good. Good, good. So I heard you say color palette and then I lost what you were saying. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. So my example was maybe we would have an antique rug in a dining room that we're
Mm-hmm.
working through the colors. So what I know is I'll take the a picture of that rug, or I'll take if I'll look at the colors in that rug, and then I will go to my resources and pull as many things as I can think of that are in that color palette. And then my job as a designer is to then narrow down those choices.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not too many choices to give the client, because then that just becomes that's where people get overwhelmed. And
True.
so uh, the process for me as a designer is to look at the paint colors, look at the major textiles maybe that are already in the room, and create a palette based on what what is existing. So maybe they already have their dining chairs are covered in a certain fabric and they're beautiful and they go with the rug. But then now we're looking at going for wall covering. So then those are the textiles that I have to work with to then create a larger color story for that particular room. And then maybe I'm also looking into the adjacent room to make sure that what I'm choosing is not going to be competing so bad with the room next to it. So it, there's a lot of layers as far as the approach to how I get to that wall covering palette.
Mm-hmm. There's one I'm looking
So
at here. There's like, oh, it's like a creation of it. It's like elephant, it's gold, it's orange, and it's just I would never think that this would look good. And it is beautiful. I'm missing out. I don't have any wallpaper in my house. And one day when I redo it, this is beautiful. How it
thank you.
complements so much. And it gives it such like even like this modern one I'm looking at that you can't see, but yeah, 'cause it's like gray and white. It looks like it's tile on the wall. Then you have wallpaper like that. I mean, that makes it look like it's tile. That's amazing.
Yeah, and that I think that one that may be a picture that's actually up against tile. So
Oh,
there's
okay.
it may be a junction of where the wall covering meets the tile. So sometimes we have to work with the tile. Like that one, I think that one was from a poker room that we did,
Okay.
and they had um, they already had this existing wall of that was already there. So everything that we chose, we had to work it within what was architecturally there. So I think that may be the picture that you're looking at. But but they do actually do some phenomenal 3D, I mean, not 3D, but like the extremely realistic printing of tile or of bricks. And, the way the printing process now, they can make anything look real.
Wow.
It's beautiful. I mean, there's just a lot to the technology that we have today compared to what they had back then when they were printing on blocks. They would have to carve it and engrave it and then dip it in ink and print it. That what we can do today is just that's why there's so many choices.
Amazing. And do you have how do you help people? You show them pictures. How do you help someone decide?
So what I'll do is I will come up with, so say, for example, we're working in one particular room, like a dining room, then I will come up with, I may come up with more than one palette to choose from.
Okay.
There could be, or like 2 different ones that kind of have a different feel to them, but it's all still under the same, like I've already edited all of it. I've already weeded out all the ones that I don't think are going to work, so that they don't get that, so that there's not a lot of confusion as far as like what that person is looking at. So what I look at in a palette, that I have to look at first would be like an inspirational sort of color, or an inspiration. Let me just show you something. How about that?
Yeah, please. This is so pretty.
So say this would be an inspiration. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I see it
very well. So it's got a lot of different colors. So it has like teal, and it's got some pinks and some greens, whites, grays. So this would be what I would call like the inspirational color, or the pattern that inspires the rest of the palette. So then we may come in with something like this that's got a texture on it, that's in the same colors.
Cool. Wow.
Or maybe we need something large. Maybe we need something that's big and dynamic, or maybe we need something that's smaller, a smaller scale. So those are all things that I look at. So there's color, scale, there's pattern.
That looks like I could reach out and touch it. That's flat?
Yeah, it's flat.
It looks like it's fabric. I just want to touch it.
I know, right? And I think that's what really draws people whenever they start to experience these other textures that are out there. What they realize is that it does make you want to touch it.
Oh no, and that's probably a no-no, right?
Well, I mean, that particular one is vinyl, so you can touch it. You can actually scrub it and clean it.
Oh my goodness. That's beautiful. I like that.
And that's another thing that people, maybe there's a misconception that like, oh, if it's beautiful, like you can't touch it. Well, they make some beautiful things that you can touch, because people have kids, people have dogs. So, being wise about where you put certain.
Oh, you're breaking up again. Oh, we lost you, Rebecca. Can you hear us? Can you see us? Hey, Rebecca, what we'll do is take a quick break, okay? Stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere while we get our friend back.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-386-9945. 800-386-9945.
And welcome back. All right, Rebecca, you are
Hey,
again.
sorry.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on.
We lost you. Just remind us how we can reach out to you.
My email address?
Yes, phone number, email address, website, whatever you'd like to.
Okay, it's www.avondaledesignstudio.com. It's my website, and my email address is rebecca@avondaledesignstudio.com.
Perfect. All right, we're continuing to talk about wallpaper. What else did you want to share with us about the process?
Let's see. I think that there's just, it really depends on the client's home. I think that sometimes I love to do wallpaper in, say, like a powder room where you can get a lot of impact in a small space. And that's something that's really fun because wall covering, it can be expensive. And sometimes the budget only permits to do a smaller space. And so say something like a powder room, you can get a lot of bang for your buck in a small space and just wrap it in wallpaper. And then whenever your guests go into your powder room, they're like, oh my gosh, it's like a different world there. That's what it feels like. That like the one that you were talking about that had the fish, that one was in a powder room. So
Yeah.
it's a small space, and it kind of created this like moody fish tank. It's almost like you're stepping into a fish tank, which is kind of cool. I mean, I think it's cool. I think for me, wallpaper transports you into a different world and through different rooms. Like that's what I love about design is you going from one room to another. And if you're working in one house, maybe the wallpaper has to be different from one room to the next because of its function, or because, say like in the bathroom, if you need it to be vinyl because you don't want it to peel off the wall. But in your office, you can do something that's really fun and fabulous because it's your office, and it's not affected by the climate, the way a bathroom is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think wallpaper and wall coverings in general, they tell a story about that person and who that person is. And I have some clients that have allowed me to do some really fun things in their house. And I think I mean, sometimes it's about taking a risk too.
Yeah.
And thinking like, this is why people hire designers, is because they want their house to look different from their neighbor's house, or they want something that's completely unique to their house.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we do as designers. We curate a home that is very specific to that person. And that's what I love about design, because it's very personal.
And let me ask you this. I mean, wallpaper can go anywhere, not just bathrooms. I mean, every room in the house, right? I mean, where would you say, is it good to switch it up, change it up, or are you a believer in wallpapers everything? Or is it okay to have blank walls with just paint instead? How do you decide?
Yeah, I think it depends on the functionality of the space. And now some people love wallpaper everywhere. I love that, but but yeah, sometimes there's times that we need to only use paint. So for example, that we could do, say if it's a study, somebody's library, for example, maybe we could do wallpaper in the back of the bookshelf, and all of the cabinets are painted in a really bold color. But we can still utilize wall covering even within the context of a space like an office. But I know that we've done, I think some of the pictures that I had sent, but I have them on. I've got pictures everywhere, but uh, that's one way that we can utilize paint and wallpaper in the same area. That sometimes we would make the cabinets like a really bold color, like I showed a picture last week of a really bold green study, and then you know there's some pictures up there that show wall covering that's in the back of a bookshelf.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. That's one way that I love to use wall covering is in the back of a bookshelf.
Mm-hmm. Well, also, let me also remind everyone, there is, as an interior designer, you're working, is it mostly the Houston area? Oh,
Yes.
Rebecca, we're having trouble, I think, with the connection today. I'm so sorry. Okay, so you're in the Houston area, and if you're just tuning in, just want to remind you guys about Rebecca, who we're talking to, Grotte, and if you need any help with interior design, we're focusing on the wallpaper she does today, but she really does so much more than that. So this is just a great opportunity for you to learn a little more about decorating the walls of your house, the bookshelf of your house, the bathroom, the living room, you name it, how wallpaper can really make a unique make your house unique and kind of stand out, I should say. It's AvondaleDesignStudio.com. Rebecca, go ahead.
Yes. Yes. Have you got me?
Yes, go ahead.
Can
That's
you hear
why I
me?
just want to make
Okay.
sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
So yes, my website is AvondaleDesignStudio.com, and you can reach me at Rebecca at AvondaleDesignStudio.com.
Perfect. Continue. Go ahead. We had some choppiness, so I wanted to make sure we still got 4 minutes left in the show.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think that the approach for wall covering for me is sort of like an Alice in Wonderland approach. I love going in and out of rooms and seeing a room come to life with wallpaper, or I love painted walls, or there's a lot of different trends within the context of what to do on a wall, but wallpaper is one of the things that I use a lot in my designs. It really makes the design very dynamic. It creates something that is just unique to that person's home, and I love doing it. It's colorful and it's whimsical. I think that maybe that's the best word that I would use to describe it. It can create whimsy, because sometimes life gets really serious, and when you're surrounded by a space that just feels fun and it's beautiful and it's colorful, it creates a sense of whimsy that sometimes as adults we kind of lose ourselves, because things get serious, and you're paying bills, you're raising kids, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're running around just trying to make it, but then you have this place that you can come home to and look at it and just adore it because it's yours, and it's magical,
Mm-hmm.
or it feels that way.
Yeah, my goodness. Well, all the work you do, clearly, let's just remind everyone it's interior designer. You're helping from the beginning to the end phase, right? And you offer initial
Yes.
consultation. Could you explain how it works if someone does reach out to you?
Yes, I do offer a free consultation to meet, um, because not everybody's, we're not all suited for each other. So my design process is all outlined in my contract. And at that initial consultation is where I would give you a copy of that contract so you can see exactly how I work. And that that's what the consultation is. And you would tell me about what your project is, and I would tell you whether it's something that I could do, or maybe it's, I don't know.
Okay.
So that's what the consultation's for, is kind of just to get to know each other as people.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you again. Remind us how we could reach you.
Okay. Rebecca at AvondaleDesignStudio.com. It's my email address. And my website is www.avondaledesignstudio.com.
Perfect. Thanks again for being here, for joining us and showing us those examples and talking about wallpaper today. Have a fantastic day. And to all of our listeners, stay tuned.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.